Welcome everybody to Bitcoin Live with me, Nick, and my good friend Zero here. I want to do a shout out to our sponsors and partners, Shieldfolio, Quantum Economics, and the Organized Media. And yeah, without them, this show wouldn't be what it is. And well, we got a good show today because Zero has been busy. And when you start working, my friend, you really start building very cool stuff. And of course, Hedy and James were supposed to be here too, but they are sort of tied up. So it's just you and me.
We will give them a break today. And for the audience and the Bitcoiners in the world and the stackers all around the world, a big hey, hey, hey to everybody. And it's so good to see you again, Nick. Bitcoin Live has been active. I love the content you guys have been putting out for the articles. That has been really cool to see. And we've been enjoying the reading content and as well as the watching content. And so I know you and I had been planning to do something again and get the audience back on to see what's happening in the broader Stacks community, what's happening for Stacks improvement proposals, and then what are we cooking that's coming new for the broader community, but also how can we keep onboarding lots and lots of people to the leading Bitcoin layer 2, which is Stacks. And there's a lot of talk, a lot of buzz about the new Stacks improvement proposal for Bitcoin staking. So wanted to talk a little bit about that too. There was a good community space yesterday and a lot of good comments. And so definitely want to touch on all things Bitcoin, Stacks, articles, also what's happening for the future.
Can I sort of ask you, because I think that's a great place to start with the Bitcoin improvement proposal from Stacks, because I also know there's quite a lot of rumbling within the Stacks community.
Right.
Is what I hear through the grapevine. So maybe you can start there and address it. And what is your take? Is how bad or how good is it?
So if we look at the history of just Web3 in general, the number one leading protocol, the most battle tested is Bitcoin. We all know that. We all accept it. If nothing else works going forward in the future, the one thing that will work is Bitcoin. It's really a simple protocol at the base level of what it does, and then the whole UTXO model, unspent spend transactions, and how it does the accounting and adjustment for your wallet owns this
Basically,
Bitcoin.
its simplicity is its strength, right? I mean, you saw
It's
it in Zcash, with the recent security breach. Let's call it a breach.
I was listening to Wolf of All Streets last night, Scott Melker, talk about Zcash. So many of these, a lot of chains have a founder, right? And so there's campaigns, there are narratives, and Stacks falls into that category as well. But that's why I say if anything else, Bitcoin is always going to work. Whether Saylor buys or sells, whether BlackRock buys or sells, whether you or I, whether we buy it or not buy it, it's going to work in the future, Nick.
Yeah.
So there was the exploit that was found with Claude with their new I think the latest models Opus 4.6. So there was this vulnerability detected, and they cannot historically see was there new coins minted in that time with this vulnerability exploited. And then let's be completely honest, the whole sell-off was because they had pushed this campaign where we are the Bitcoin
Secure.
privacy
Yeah.
equivalent, maybe even wink wink,
Yeah.
we might be
Better.
better than Bitcoin, which is nothing is better than Bitcoin because, like you said, at the base level, it's very simple how it works. And because it's turning energy into economic output, the only other equivalent is gold, or what we're actually doing in the economy, where we take capital and we put it into a startup, and that gives us the economic output. So that's why you can't manipulate it. That's why you can't seize it, or you can't stop Bitcoin. But all these other places like that Zcash that was relying heavily upon like Arthur Hayes to push the narrative, like this is better. But once that vulnerability was released, it was like, well, hey, I'm gonna dump my bags on to the next thing.
And that of course makes Bitcoin also like the perfect foundation to build upon, something like stacks. Also, I want to mention one thing. I'm sitting on a leather chair. I forgot to change it because I usually do a other chair. So if you hear sort of strange noises, that is because of this
Oh,
chair.
I just heard it. I just heard it. But to answer your question, and that's one of the things I was going to mention today, and when we start to show the platform, I did want to mention, and I could do that right now. Actually, I want to just let people know because we just worked on this last night, and so if you go to ZeroAuthorityDAO.com, we made it very clear the new Bitcoin staking SIP is open for discussion. So we put the link here to the discussion, and then if you navigate to that link, we have the new page up and ready. So one, you could read through what's going on. Two, you could even open up the PDF view of the proposal if you want to just read through, get your own details, so you don't have to rely on us. And then we have a couple of options there, and please go to the Stacks forum and let your voice be heard. If you don't like it, what don't you like about it? If you do like it, please let us know. That's why we're all a part of this community. That's why we built these tools. That's why we built the SIP tracker, so people could have the opportunity to better understand these proposals. And not only that, Nick, what we also added was the element of AI assistance. So
Ah,
if you need help, maybe, so there's three main ways that people had told us for a proposal. There's three main things I want to do. I actually want to help draft one, or I want to implement a
nice.
proposal, or I want to understand this. And so we made it so easy to go to the proposal that you're looking at and click on one of your agents, and just click the button, and that'll take you directly to, I'm blocking the access right now, but it'll take you directly to see the actual. Let me load this again. I
And
think
by the
I'm
way, I want to
looking at my
compliment you on
VPN.
the website. The website looks really stylish and it's very intuitive and friendly to use.
Oh,
So,
thank you. Thank you so much. We spent lots of late nights, lots of weekends, just because we love like the purpose of what Stacks is trying to do, bringing layers to Bitcoin. The other secret too is that Red Blocks is amazing with design work, and they've been our partners from the beginning of our journey for the V2 when we launched back in 2025. Just as we were launching as a project, and we just this has just been a labor of love for us. We just like blockchains. We like the new cool technologies and want to iterate and make something useful for people. So let me see here, Nick. I think that link wasn't quite working. I think I'm blocking the access with my VPN, but
that's
that's
something.
okay.
Yeah,
If you want to go and you want to understand, you have three options to say. And so the whole purpose, and let me give you my take on it. On there, and this is where I started the history of Web3 and blockchain. We know for fact that Bitcoin is going to work. All the other, whether it's the Ethereum layer 2 race, there are some clear winners there. So we know Chainlink is going to be the Oracle network of Web3. That's clear. And then probably more than likely Base will be the leading Ethereum layer 2. There's competition with Base, Optimism, Arbitrum,
there's
but
also some competition with Chainlink, right? You got what is it, Band? I think is one of the other Oracle systems.
there are, I mean,
So,
there are plenty of other oracles, but Chainlink is a winner.
yeah,
They have won that race. Uh, Optimism and Arbitrum have won the layer 2 race because all like Base is built on top of Optimism. And then you have the Bitcoin layer 2 race too,
yeah.
where we've seen that in the last 12 months, we've seen a lot of chains try to compete with the stacks. And there were some really cool technologies that were being pushed. and I was excited to see more. Like, I know there was Bitcoin OS, there was BitVM, and Bob build on Bitcoin. But ultimately, Stacks is well positioned capital wise, and they're also well positioned. And this is why I continue to stick around, because community wise, we have one of the best community that's deeply rooted. I've been watching and participating since 2019. I saw Rubes had put out a tweet. He's been here since 2021. I know Jack Ben Switch has been around since 2022. You and I started working together back in 2021 and 2 at some point,
Yeah.
and had conversations going. So lots of people are still here. The intellectual capital is still here in
And
this community, and we continue to promote what may be coming. And so there's a couple of ways to do Bitcoin staking, and the best way is through the emissions. The other ways to do it, other chains have tried that, and they have either they failed or they've run out of capital. So this is probably the one of the better ways. I don't want to say the best, because there may be something that comes in the future, but this is the better way to do that.
And do you think with stacks, and then we can go to the proposal again, but do you think it also has to do with the fact that we're in a bear market, that the grumbling and that people leave, and and they think it's going nowhere, but once the market returns, everybody is happy again, and they're that's usually how.
Nick, I see that every cycle. Every cycle, like someone had, because I had quote retweet to Manib's tweet, and I saw Manib liked it, and then someone replied, "You're not down 80 or 98% on your bags," and I'm like, dude, I was at one point when I started these cycles. I did a round trip. I was up and I was like, oh man, this thing is going to go to $1 million, right? Everybody does that their first cycle, and then you're like, okay, it's not going to $1 million. Then you go into another cycle, and you're like, okay, well maybe this thing will 10x, and then it starts going up, and you get the bull fever, and you're like, oh, all of these things will go up forever. And then you get into your third cycle, and you're like, okay, I tell people all the time, Nick, take profits, not screenshots. Because when it's bullish and you're feeling good, you share all those screenshots, and it's all green candles.
That's even more painful, right? That you look at your screenshots like,
oh, you look at that tweet a year from now, you're like, man, I should have taken some money off the table. So if you're putting too much into it, and then you round trip or you're down, you feel bad. So I agree. It's part of the sentiment.
And then you see the stocks,
bear market.
Stocks go like meme coins, right?
it goes like this, it goes up, and then it goes back down. And so yeah, just take profits along the way. Don't get overly bullish on anything. The only thing I truly believe in is a Bitcoin, stacks, and some of the base chains.
But I guess you can see it if the builders are still there with stacks, right? They didn't leave, and they're still building, and they're still improving. So
the core people are still here, and so the new people that come in, it's kind of like, if the way I think about it is kind of like in a chart formation, like, right, even like, just think of Bitcoin as the charts. Like, people look at the tops, I look at the bottoms. Like, where is the cycle low? That's my metric now, Nick. I don't even think about where it's going to be in the future, because we know it's where it's going to be. It's going to be up. Now, is that 10x? Is that 100? I don't know, but it's going to be up, because they're never going to stop printing money. And so once you start to understand that, then you get the reason why.
Well, I had a whole discussion today, like an endless discussion with a good friend of mine, precisely about that. Like, what's happening in the world, what our government's going to do. And he's also a Bitcoin and a crypto fanatic, but he's been burned really bad. I mean, we've all been burned, right?
Right. Who hasn't lost? Who hasn't got hacked? Who hasn't lost money? I've had all of those happen to me.
But he just and he sees the stocks go like this, and he thinks like, oh, why did it go there and not in stocks, and but I said exactly what you said, like, they keep printing, and we're heading into another liquidity crisis. I mean, I think we're already there, and the response, there's only one response, right? There's only
when they pull back the curtain of options, it just says this is the only option, and you have to push the button and print more money.
That's
there,
it.
there's no other plan to this, and so it almost drives a lot of the thinking and not only that too, like we see innovation every cycle too. It was really
Yep.
cool. Even think so the whole first wave of 2017 was ICOs, right? It was like, this is economic freedom, we can do this new form of ICOs. The majority of them went to zero, right? Okay,
Yep.
that was the innovation. 2021, it was a whole NFT innovation, and the innovation there was that NFTs can be more than what you even imagine it could be with the representation of art on chain. And then that kind of brought us to real world assets and still DeFi, because we had the DeFi summer, right, at 1.2 through that 20 to 21 uh, uh, journey there. And so we're at this point now where the last cycle, this previous cycle, 25, you saw the pump funds, kind of like this
Yep.
whole, everyone create a token, everyone is economically free, and then the cycles kind of compress from there. But like, if the bottom of Bitcoin turns out to be, let's say, 50K, maybe even if it might go to 40K, that's going to be the last time in your life you ever see that price. Because I remember back in 2020 when they were like, well, there were some Bitcoiners saying like 10,000s, you'll never see this price again.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know about that. But like now I'm seeing it. Now like I like realize how valuable these moments in time that you
Yeah.
get. And it's really about patience, Nick, because there's so many people that they'll see, oh, the stock market is going up, let me go change my Bitcoin for this, and let me go swap some stacks for that, or let me dump my Solana for this, and then you're buying at the top of that market too. So you're going to get wrecked again, and
I think
so
we're almost there.
you're going to get wrecked again. So the best thing is to just dollar cost average into the best assets that you know
Yeah.
are best assets that'll come back. And then to the point on the builders, there's still core builders that I see around the
Yeah.
ecosystem. There's still people who I see building, they believe in the future of what we're trying to achieve here. So this proposal, this
Yeah.
new SIP for Bitcoin staking, this is going to be one of the the very, I don't want to say the first time, but it will be one of the best opportunities to onboard Bitcoiners and companies that hold Bitcoin. That announcement from UTXO, that was huge because their parent company Nakamoto, they're Bitcoiners. They hold Bitcoin in their DAT, the digital assets at Treasury. They believe in the power of Bitcoin. And so if they're looking for yield and they're coming to stacks to do that, that's a powerful indicator. We're in this moment of AI, Web3, Bitcoin, that these decisions are going to start playing out in a meaningful way. And so we had to go the route of like, let's make this ready for institutional capital, and that's the whole maturity of this space. We all knew this was going to happen at some point, and now that it's happening, it doesn't feel great if you were here in the early days and you said, well, Bitcoin is economic freedom, and it's a kind of that libertarian perspective on the
It's
world,
still
that
there.
it's still that, it still is that, but
Yeah.
people are holding their Bitcoin in an ETF now. People
Yeah.
are holding their Bitcoin in DeFi markets, which all of that has evolved. Look at Zest. They
Yeah.
just hit some crazy numbers. Bitcoin lending, that's happening. Look at
Yeah.
Bitflow. Zest and Bitflow together are leading the way for the capital markets in Bitcoin,
And then
and they're gonna be multi-chain too.
And then on top of that, I think you also said it like in our last show or maybe the show before even. You guys were also very visionary when it came to agentic AI, right? And that there was an yeah, huge economy there, and we're
Right.
also heading in that direction, right? Because I'm starting to realize and believe that that economy will be much larger than our human economy that we have right now.
Right, right.
So
We we still believe in the power, and I actually want to show you something right now
cool.
that is pretty cool. So let me share this screen now. So this is a project that we've been building behind the scenes, and it's not quite ready for prime time, but there's going to be really cool agentic things that you can do now. Let me see. Let me connect through Discord here 1 second, really quick. Let's do that. So the other thing that what we've seen. So let's go here. So you could do new chats. Let me go back to home just to show people. So we're able, because Nick, what we've been building, we're not a DeFi platform. We're not an NFT platform. At our heart, we're the reputation on chain
Yeah.
platform, and then we have these products that sit on top. So we have gigs, we have bounties, we have quests, we have events, and then we have the SIP governance process now. And not only that, we're going to turn on cab groups too, which I'll show later. And so we're going to be able to be that key infrastructure as that layer on. Obviously we're on stacks, but we're also on base, and then we could just keep expanding, growing from there. But this is going to allow people now to see through the agentic experience what opportunities are available on the
Yeah.
protocol.
And
And
just
we're
for the
going to be
people,
able to source that from all around, not just on Zero Authority
and just for the
as
people
well.
who are listening and who are unfamiliar with Zero of ZeroAuthorityDAO, you of course already mentioned that reputation is the consensus mechanism, but you can also earn these really cool bounty rewards, right, for participating on your platform.
Right, right. So the reason we started Zero Authority was because there was no place for builders to connect with creators. Right. If you're building whatever it is, an application, a protocol, a platform, a system, at some point you need to pivot from building into creating some marketing and getting out into the world and inviting people to use this. So we built these products for you to do that, because there wasn't a place to work through a gig. There wasn't a place to create a bounty. We've seen all types of bounties. So we've seen people create a bounty for user testing feedback. We've seen bounties for just hype and marketing memes. We've seen meme bounties only, and just go out and generate the best type of funny content, engaging content. And the magic of that is we're using all of all of the power of the blockchain, right? You don't have to trust that I'm going to pay you, Nick. The money's already in the smart contract. You just have to click who the winners are, and then that money gets distributed through the contract. And this is where we're going with the whole agentic experience. You're going to be able to come to the new site. We'll build it into the platform, but you'll be able to come here and say, I don't even know if I could find you, but like, for example, you would be able to just like pop in someone's BNS name and then find out all the details about them. And you could see like what is their active wallets. And yep, see that resolved to that wallet. Yep, so that's it. You'll see everything about them, their reputation, their history on chain. And then you could decide, do I want to create an agent to go work with that agent over there? And the other thing we're working on is kind of this builder network, where we'll have a SIP agent, we'll have a Clarity agent, and then Nova agent, which Nova is running all this. Nova can, let me do that one more time. We still have some a little couple kinks to work out here and there. And then shout out to Rubes and Tenero, because we're able to pull your portfolio history from Tenero, because we've integrated that fully. But it's starting to come together as the Lego blocks, Nick, which, if you would have asked me 3 years ago what was Zero Authority turned into, I would have said, I don't. We, we have some cool products. We have over 4,000 monthly active people on the
Mhm.
platform. If you would have asked me, I would have said, maybe people find the value. They found value in bounties, no questions. Gigs are cool too. They love doing quests too. And so I would have said we kind of just will keep iterating on that. But with the whole agentic e-commerce experience and now the ability, the innovation through AI, we're able to take the platform and make it personal for what you actually want to do, Nick. So that's something that's cool, that's been kind of evolving. And so we're starting to see, like, like even like proposals, show me governance proposals, and how can I build and how can I do other things. We're starting to package all of that together because we have been in that space of almost, you could almost think of it as no man's land, right? Like we're not a DeFi, we're not an NFT. So really, like, what is our lane? and so we've been out there just kind of collecting data from the blockchain, organizing that data. And now that we're in this world where agentic reputation matters, because we always believed it would matter at some point, it's starting to become our time.
Can I?
And people will say, Zero Authority is on fire. And so I see what I see, but like for other people outside of those circles to say, I just keep seeing Zero Authority all the time. That is so cool, man, because we always just wanted to just be a part of the conversation.
And can I ask you a question? Because I know you guys are on top of AI, but could you have ever imagined that AI is as far as it is today, like a year ago or
No,
2 years ago? That's
no, no. When So there were the two moments that were really important that we're going to look back. So we haven't had the Uber moment yet, and the Uber Airbnb moment, and that moment I feel like that's coming soon. I would love to kind of be at the forefront of that if we could do something agentic with people, agents, marketplace data. But who knows? But that moment, for why I call it the Uber Airbnb moment, technologies finally converge where you can have mobile data, location data, and computing was fast enough for all three to work together, where I could pull up Uber on my phone and I can get a ride. Because before that, you would never get in a car from a stranger. Like, your parents told you, do not talk to strangers. And now we're at this point in society where I get a ride from a stranger. I went in someone's home and they're a stranger, right? It's because the technologies converge. So we had a couple of moments in the AI history when ChatGPT launched.
yeah.
That was the boom. And then when OpenClaw launched with the agents that can do things, that was the second boom. And so we just need that third boom. It may be something on the inference compute space. It may, these Chinese companies too, because I have conversation with Rocky at Red Blocks throughout the nights and weekends, and he's saying these open source models, cheaper, faster, better, where you can plug it in off the shelf, use
Yeah.
that as your base model, and then all the things that you need to do incrementally on top of that, you can add Claude, you can add GPT. So you almost end up developing your own. So the Zero Authority tech stack pre AI, it was the typical
Yeah.
database, middleware layer, blockchain, and then application. And now it's kind of this convergence of the same thing. So you still have database, infrastructure, blockchain, but then you have AI in each of those layers, which is kind of interesting in unique cases too, uh, because we were building with Figma, right?
Mhm.
So we would have our designs in Figma. And I was just talking to Huddle the other day, Huddle Stacks and Hattie the other day, and I was just saying, man, it was me and Huddle back in 21. If we had to prototype something, dude, it's it took me forever. I would
Yeah,
get
but that's
on.
of course also because you're a perfectionist, right? So then
Well,
you want
no,
to.
no, I'm not a designer. I'm just not. I have no design, like,
Okay.
background. I do have a taste on like how things should look, how it should feel, and
Yeah.
things like that. But like as far as like me like designing things, I would put boxes together and Canva and like make it look like this, but beautify it, and then it would just take
Yeah.
iterations. But now type an idea into GPT or Gemini or to Claude, and then you just start refining it from there. And then 10 minutes, you have what you want that interface to look like. And it's just so crazy. So to answer your question, yeah, I would have never guessed that AI would have evolved this fast. And I would have never guessed we can correlate all this data that we have and present it to people in this really cool interface where someone could just chat back and forth with it, the Nova AI bots.
Yeah, I follow Jordi Visser for quite a while, and he's super into AI. And by the way, tomorrow we have Andy Lian on the show. He's from Hong Kong, so he's really
Oh, cool.
in the
Very
AI
cool.
blockchain crypto sphere. So that will be a really cool. He wrote a book, Age of Artificial Intelligence. So that's what.
Oh, interesting. Very interesting.
But one of the things that I find really remarkable was also, in this conversation with my friends, is just how quickly people normalize new things, right? Because like you said, the explosion with ChatGPT, nobody believed that could happen, and then it happened, and then a year later, everybody was like, "Oh, yeah, it's just ChatGPT," or but they don't.
It just becomes so mundane.
Yeah,
It's like Google, right? Google, we took it for granted that you could search the web for anything because we're probably around the same age. So you remember going to the library, getting your Dewey Decimal System and getting that index card, and then going all to the rows and looking up, and we just take it for granted. And
I built my own library.
And it looks nice. It looks really nice. But what I also have really been thinking about is the way to use agents today is really hard. So if you're not like a developer, because we even have like MCP up and running for Nova for the platform. But if you're not a developer, it's really hard to like understand how do I get it fully operational and how do I use MCP with Claude Code or GPX or GPT codecs. So what I really want to do is this AI layer that we're creating is you will be able to mint your agent, and that agent can be that wrapper for things that you want to do. So for example, AI BTC, they're doing some really great work, and I really want to partner with them somehow, but I think this is probably the way we can finally do that, where they have bounties over there too for agents.
Mhm.
We can create these wrappers on Zero Authority where these agents can talk to the AI BTC agents. So imagine, Nick, you don't have a ton of time, but like let's say you have some time in the evening and you come to the AI site for Zero Authority and you're like, I just want to see if I could participate and get my agents to do some bounties, or I could train my agents. And it'll be the training aspect today too, is you kind of feed it these markdown files. So we could even simplify that too. So training could be your agent, like in that chat. If I go back to that screen and I show you through the threaded messages, like you can start a new chat with whichever agent. So we'll have a prompt like, who do you want to chat with? Well, I want to talk to my bounty agent, or I want to talk to you can name the agent that you create. I want to talk to that agent, and then uh, it'll say, how do you want me to find a bounty? And then maybe there's a site you already know about. So like go here and then go to all these open sources and find the other bounties, or go here where there is some work. Like you do a lot of writing content, Nick.
Yep.
So when people are putting out content on X, like, hey, I need some writing, you should be able to talk to your gig agent, and they should be kind of like an agent in real life. Like if you're a sports player or like you're a big media personality, you call your agent and you're like, hey, what gigs are available? Your gig agent for writing content should be able to go out and find that and say, hey, do you want to personally write this? Do you want me to write in a style that you would do formally? And that's kind of like that extension of human agent, agent human, agent to agent, human to human. I don't believe that AI is going to just fully replace people. We're already seeing it's just making people more productive. It makes us way more productive. I know even like a couple years ago, people were like, "Oh, I don't ever want to produce any blogs with AI. That's crazy." And now everyone is producing writing content, posting content, and then
Yeah.
you go in, you
To be
modify
honest,
it, and
I couldn't, write 4 of those lengthy articles without the help of AI. I always put the disclaimer at
same,
the bottom, but yeah, my productivity has, increased tenfold. Otherwise, one such article would take
right,
me at least 3 months, right? And I
right,
do
right,
it in
right,
2 weeks.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah, so we're seeing that it's making people more productive, and
yeah.
I mean there is some drawbacks. The younger people are having a hard time getting their first gig, so that's not great. But there will be this period where people are figuring out, and we will figure it out, as all of humanity had to do in the Industrial Revolution. We had to figure this out. Today we're going to have to figure that out as well.
But you still see a lead between, someone like yourself who can sort of put an AI together and make it work for you, and the people who are, perhaps more like me, who are, using uh, sort of ready-made AI to help them write, for example, because you're really using it to build, whatever you want it to build, right? So that's like in a more advanced level.
Yeah, yeah. Something that I also think is probably a misnomer or kind of a myth as well is that because it's so easy to build the front end and even like some loose back end, that all of these SaaS platforms and any platforms are going to just kind of go to zero. I don't believe that, because a business, or even these companies that exist and chains that exist, like a Stacks, like a
Yeah.
Base, you have human capital behind, and then you also have real financial capital, and then you have like intellectual capital too, right? So there, and then it's kind of the reputation, like in a more kind of pie in the sky way reputation, that these chains or these companies have created and manifested. So you can't just, Nick, you can't just go, or even myself, I can't just go on Claude and create an application and say, okay, hey,
Yeah.
our doors are open. We should be generating billions and billions of dollars. There have been some really good developers who have used AI in a meaningful way to create a business around it, but we're not seeing that. That's the 1% of the 1%. But see, here's the problem too. Like, we'll see that on social media and like, everybody's doing it. But
Yeah, yeah.
the truth
That,
is, it's just
yeah.
like 1% of the 1% who actually, they're developers. They know how to use AI. They've built, they've identified an industry or a vertical that needs this
Yeah.
specific tool, and they've integrated AI in a meaningful way in the SaaS product that they've built. So it's just like we read these headlines and we kind of take it as sensational news and that everyone's doing it and everyone's getting rich. That's just not the case. It's
No,
just
no,
not.
no, that definitely not. And there's, for every person that succeeds, there's like 100 who feel
A
miserable,
million.
or a million. Yeah, in this case. It's like with meme coins, right?
Right, right, exactly. For that one guy that got the 20,000 X return, a bunch of us idiots were underwater, and like, probably like that guy who replied, "I'm 98% down."
And he has the screenshot to prove it, right?
Right, right. Yeah, so some other things that I did want to show. Let me share my screen one more time, because one of the things that I'm really looking forward to as well, that is something that we're going to be coming out with here soon. So if you go to ZeroAuthorityDAO.com, and let me go back to the home page so you can see where exactly to navigate. So if you go to the, also, people, if you see this, we have this nice little navigation to think through, how do I want to use the platform. But if you go over to the governance side,
Mhm.
one of the things we're going to be launching soon is the ability to see the CAD groups. So in the improvement proposal process for Stacks, before it goes to the community vote, there are we have these advisory groups. We have some for the governance, we have some for technical, for ethics, economic. So I think the three big ones: economic, technical, and then the governance. So previously, these these conversations, this voting, it was all happening behind the scenes. And now what we're going to be able to do is we can vote on the platform and everyone can see how you casted your vote.
Yeah,
And
that's much
so,
better, right? I think that makes it transparent.
yeah,
That's basically the promise of blockchain, in essence, right? I mean, that's also
right,
why you would want to get real voting on a blockchain, and then of course on a
exactly.
decentralized blockchain, not on a private blockchain. But yeah,
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And so when we've been working with different groups and organizations around stacks, and our whole ethos from the day one, we always said, remember why you started. And and for me, that's something that's personal to me, Nick. I always used to say, remember why you started, because Bitcoin is economic freedom. That's why you
yeah,
hold Bitcoin, not because you think you're going to get rich, it's because you don't want to get poor.
yeah,
And I used to tell people too, and it finally dawned on me recently, one Bitcoin is one Bitcoin.
yeah.
And you don't really truly understand that until you live long enough to see, okay, if I hold $1 in the year 2000, that thing is worth probably, I think, I want to say 25 cents. So when people say one Bitcoin is one Bitcoin, it will go up forever because the dollar will go down forever, or any fiat currency will go down
And that's
forever.
also why you wanted to have it in self custody, right? Because it will be extremely valuable and extremely rare, and everybody wants to have it. And all the other money, or at least most of it, will be tied to a digital prison, of some kind, likely, right?
Yeah, and Nick, I am also of the belief, however you hold it and own it, that's okay too. If you hold it in
True,
an
yeah, true.
ETF, if
Yeah.
you hold it in an IRA, if
But
you
but
hold
but
it,
do you also? I mean, like you said, the governments need to print in order to get themselves out of it. But every time they press the button, they make things worse, right, for more and more people. Uh,
sure, sure,
and at some point, the only way for them to keep people together and to keep people, inside a country that is, doing this, that they have to sort of transform that country into, yeah, a prison system of some kind, right? Because otherwise people will just leave, vote with their feet and walk out. And so they like sort of Bitcoin, they need Bitcoin, they need to build on top of Bitcoin, but they don't want people
sure.
to hold Bitcoin because otherwise they'll just leave.
Right. And so we have seen, what is his name? Klaus, from World
Yeah,
Economic Forum. He said, "You will own nothing and you will
and
be happy."
I never understand the latter part. Like, why how does people become happy?
But think about this, Nick. He he's 90% right on that, because think
Yeah,
about it like this. Today,
yeah,
if you want to watch something, you do it through a platform.
yeah,
If you're doing it through that platform, you probably pay a monthly subscription fee to do it, right? We don't own CDs. We don't own VHS tapes. I mean, still have some DVDs somewhere, but I actually have some CDs too, because my car has a
yeah.
CD
I
player,
also have
ironically.
DVDs. Some still work.
But he's right. He actually is right. He's not lying, because we don't own those things media wise. Even
Yeah,
music, we don't technically. I was even listening, this one blew my mind. If you buy a share on Robinhood or E-Trade or whichever platform in whichever country, you do not own that. It's owned by the DTCC. So technically, you don't own shares, you don't own music media, you don't own TV media or any of this media consumed. So if you think about it from that perspective, we're already there. Now the choice going forward, and this is why I believe you have to have cash to pay for things, because that's the currency where you live. That's fine, but you should have some gold. You
yep,
should have some silver.
yeah,
You should definitely have some Bitcoin. If you
yeah,
feel comfortable buying Bitcoin and holding it, and if you want and I'm just going to put this out there too. I'm going to share, if you share my screen one more time, we
Yep.
have a cool partnership with Writer. So if you go to ZeroAuthorityDAO.com and click on the Writer, they gave us a discount to share with the community.
Oh, nice.
So yeah. So if you want to hold physical or put those digital assets in a physical holding where you control it, your Bitcoin, your Ethereum, your stacks, buy a Writer wallet. I love mine. I have one. I bought some for friends and family, and I truly do believe in all forms of hard money, and even commodities. Like if you buy some commodities, even if you buy it through an ETF, you don't technically own that ETF, but that's still better than holding it in $5 cash if you're just holding it in the bank. So I'm with you on that, Nick. I am with you on that, Nick. It's almost a little it's concerning to think about, but also there are ways to protect yourself too in this future that lies ahead.
Yeah, and then I think also, right? I mean, if you trade it, if you're buying something to trade it, then of course you're going to use an ETF or a bank or whatever it is that you use, right? It will be extremely cumbersome and difficult to do that with a cold wallet. Nor do I advise that. And of course, this is not financial advice anyway. But yeah. So most people will own their stocks and they own most of their wealth in a kind of like a centralized database that is not really their own. That they're sort of representations or tokens of their wealth that somebody else.
Hey Nick, we're reaching the end here. I wanted to ask you too. So you started writing some of the articles. What brought that about, and what made you do more written content? Because I'm just curious to hear your take from Bitcoin Live perspective on, because we also did some more writing and blogging too, and we found that people they love to read. People still love to read. I know I love to read when I have time. I have 2 kids and a wife, but and obviously a day job. But whenever I can read something that I'm really fascinated with and thought provoking, I get that chance.
Yeah. No. So first of all, right, like you, like I have a busy job, basically full-time job. Thank God, otherwise I would have a very difficult time.
And this bear market, yeah. You would probably reply that you're also 90% down with that guy.
Yeah, and of course I got a girlfriend, and I have Bitcoin Live, and you put out content. So you don't have a lot of time. But right now there were a couple of things that changed. Right, first of all, we're in a bear market, and I've been in a bear market too a few times, and then interest from other people sort of drops, especially with YouTubing and podcasting. You see sort of the engagement really drops off a cliff usually.
Oh yeah.
So, and then you can put out a lot of content in order sort of to make yourself visible, but you can also just do something else. So I usually use the summer period, which is historically is that the markets are down, people are on vacation, they're reorienting themselves. Sometimes they quit, sometimes they start doing something else. So, and I used to be very sort of really sort of made me feel down, right? Because the market is down, people are disengaged, and these days I just think, okay, this is like probably the same as you, like a builder, like what do I like to do? What can I do best? And I thought, and my girlfriend has been pushing me for years now, like start writing those things that you've been saying to me forever. Put them down on paper. So, and then I had a foot operation a couple of weeks back. It's almost fully recovered now, but that it took me 7 weeks out of work. So I had a lot of time, and then on top of that, you have these AIs, these amazing AIs that can help you speed up the process. So I had a lot of ideas in my mind for, I think, 10 more articles. I'm actually writing 2 at the moment, and so I had the time. I had the desire to write it, and of course the reality goes so fast. So I also had something like I have to write these things before they are reality and they're outdated. So
yes.
I need to do them now because I've been
You don't want to write it after something happens, because then you're just
the
kind of
people
like
say,
the
"Well,
fly
of course."
guy. You're almost just like a news reporter at that point.
Yeah, then it's not interesting, and then usually somebody else has already done it. But the only thing, the only problem with writing it before it is that you sometimes feel like a prophet, like a shouting in the desert, and then people think you're crazy, or they get upset with what you write or something.
But that's where you want to be.
Yeah.
I was talking to Iraqi the other day, and I was saying that's where you want to be, either hated or loved. You don't want to be in the middle. Being in the middle means that you're just kind of playing it safe.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
shout out to you, man, for putting a thought out there. Some of them are radical, some of them are like spot on, but I'm also I lean more libertarian, more be self-sufficient, don't rely on government, don't rely on corporations. Obviously, if you're working and you want to do the best that you can for the group of people that you work with, and obviously you have a family and you want to take care of them, and things like that. But you're constantly, if you're in this space, you're also constantly like looking 10 years ahead too, which it can be a problem, because you want to be present where you are, and that's so challenging. I find in my personal life that I want to be present, but I'm also thinking about like, man, what's going to happen in 10 years and 20 years?
Yeah, you get easily caught up and carried away, and also because you're sort of so in it, you always have to sort of realize like, okay, it will go much slower than I think it will go, but it will go much faster than the people outside think will, so you're sort of reaching in the middle. But like you say,
one thing I heard that I love this quote, I don't even know who said it. Just because something is inevitable doesn't mean it's imminent.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
the devaluation of money and all fiat monies, it is a guaranteed thing that happens. Just because that's going to happen, and I was talking to someone a couple years back, and he was like, "Oh man, the money's going to go to zero," and I was like, "Well, if you read Ray Dalio, you have about 100 years.
Yeah.
These things take lifetimes and generations to play out.
Yeah.
We're it's not going to happen in our lifetime, but God forbid, in our kids' lifetime,
No,
or in the next generation, or
but
the generation after that, it would happen.
to be honest, like one of the articles was so inspired by the friend that I was talking to, like because like what I said earlier, people normalize what is not normal or what was once not normal, right? It becomes very quickly normalized. And on top of that, even though, for example, he knows that they're destroying the purchasing power of money, if they have to save the bond market, they will they will always save the bond market and destroy the currency. Especially if it's the US or China, right? They're not. And to be honest, my personal take, I used to be, pretty sort of mellow when it came to the government. I'm a European, so we used to trust our governments, and we thought they represent people and stuff. But
I think Americans have always been distrustful. Our country was started with no taxation.
Yeah, I think the Americans are actually right. So I think it's good to have a healthy distrust, and I think Europeans are what they are because of the American deal that they got. Right, the Americans got. Will protect you, and then you can do your social, initiatives and whatever you want to do. And then the Europeans, of course, could play the good guys. They could, sit on their throne.
Yeah, like, well, we don't want to do that, and we're just here to make peace. And then, like, they're opening the back door. Okay, go ahead, U.S. Like MI5, they're like, all right, go ahead, FBI, CIA, NSA, do your thing. We'll just turn this way.
And of course, the Europeans used to be like that too, right? Before the Second World War and the First World War, the Europeans were just as bad or as good, depending on how you see it, as the Americans.
Imperialism.
Yeah. So So, but what I was writing, or what I am writing about right now, is sort of even though you're right, these things that Ray Dalio talks about can take like 100 years
Hmm.
to play out, and they likely will. But when you sort of look at, for example, Weimar Germany, you got sort of like a hockey stick, right? It goes like this for a very long time, and it sort of goes up a little bit. For example, inflation goes up like 20 or 30 or 40%, or in Turkey, you can see it in Turkey right now, right? But at some point, you sort of hit that inflection point, and then it can suddenly go sky, can go instantly.
Right,
Uh,
right.
Plus, if you look at the chart of gold during Weimar Germany, it goes like this. It's like somebody getting a heart attack or something.
Yeah.
So he basically told me like, "Hey, Nicholas, this will take like years to play out. Don't worry about it. Chill." Uh, and I'm telling him like, yeah, you might be right, but it could also hit us tomorrow, right? I mean, if the Strait
So
of
so I was listening to a really good podcast, the Daniela Cambone show, and she does really great interviews. She was interviewing the guy that actually works there. They sell monetary metals and stuff like that. He had a really good point, which I really been thinking about is, and everyone is talking about this monetary reset.
yeah,
His point was, you don't know when it's going to happen,
yeah,
and we could be in the middle of it right now. And so if you don't hold physical gold, physical silver, I call it physical Bitcoin in your actual
yeah,
wallet, if you hold these things through an ETF because you don't actually own any shares or any companies or anything like that, when they do this revaluation,
yeah,
they auto calculate your new shares. So it's not President Trump or whoever the next president of the world. And so people get so caught up in Trump is doing this,
yeah, yeah,
Biden did that,
yeah,
uh, Christine Lagarde did this, President Xi did that. But people don't realize there's like real power, like the Rothschilds in the world
yeah,
that have been preparing, like the Epsteins of the world, who are these proxies for whichever agency or whichever secret shadows that was actually controlling him
yeah,
and gathering these secrets to carry out and manifest whatever actions they wanted things to take place. That's already in motion. So I would tell people that's why I hold physical things that I can. Anything that has like actual tangible value, you should
yeah.
try to hold on to that, because
And also,
when these things get devalued,
family.
they're not gonna send you a notice in the mail. I'm like, hey, do you want to cash out what you have now? They're not gonna do that. And
No,
so
no. There will be some kind of emergency that they will create, and then they will say, "Oh, it's for, it's an act of God." It's just like
but that's what I'm saying, Nick. That's what I'm saying. Like the new bills, the by the EU, US,
yeah,
Japan, China, these new laws that they put on books where they like
yeah,
this whole the Clarity Act and the Genius Act, like, yeah, we'll let you have your stable coins, and then you unfeather that roll like, an ancient scroll that just keeps going down and down, and then you finally get to the fine print. It's like, we reserve the right to take any of your assets at any time for any probable cause that we deem probable.
yeah,
And you're like, wait a minute. As a citizen,
yeah,
I did not sign up for that. I want stable coins legal, but I did not want that. See, like, those are the things, like the Patriot Act. Like
yeah.
it
And it's
it
still
gave
there, right?
sweeping powers
The
to
Patriot Act
every
was a
agency.
temporary measure, right?
Right, right. It's all there. It's temporary.
Nothing as permanent as a temporary measure.
As a temporary government program.
Yeah, yeah,
So to wrap up, go to zeroauthorityDAO.com and please go check out the new proposal. It There's a lot of conversations happening right now. Can you bring that on screen, by the way? Let me see if I could do this. Can you share my screen?
Yep, I'm doing
Oh,
it here.
thanks for sharing Zero Authority. Go to the staking proposal, read through what's happening. We have the link to the form. Please voice your opinion, and go through and read through all of the details. I think it's really important for you to be knowledgeable and you have a voice in what's happening. That it doesn't mean that. Oh, here, let me share this
Oh,
this
there it
tab.
is.
There it is. So read through what's happening and see, give your opinion and your voice. That's why this community exists. Whether you like it, whether you don't like it, voice your opinion and don't be afraid to have a strong opinion one way or another. There's a lot of conversation because it's changing the emissions, and a lot of us in this ecosystem, we didn't sign up to change the emissions, but we're not doing it for a purpose that's really nebulous or unfounded. I've seen Munib operate the last several years since I've been in the Stacks ecosystem. I've been around here since 7 years now. If
Mm.
he makes these moves and the core behind Stacks Foundation and Labs are making these moves, I'm telling you, they've thought about it 5 to 10 different ways on how they could make this happen. And here's the unfortunate reality that we all exist in. We need to make these things institution friendly so we can keep growing. The only one metric that matters in Web3 is growth. If you're not growing, you're dying. And it's really that simple. And Bitcoin staking, we're already seeing that first domino fall where UTXO is saying, I want to sign up for this thing. I want Bitcoin staking. I not only do they get to stake their Bitcoin, but you have to buy a huge proportion of stacks
Yeah,
as well. So you have to also have that as a capital requirement. So that improves the capital price of stacks, STX. STX is a gas token. All right. It's not Bitcoin. A lot of us hold it. I'm heavily overweight in stacks. I continue to do that because these innovations like the Nakamoto release,
mhm.
Bitcoin on stacks, self-custodial Bitcoin on stacks, that's the future of where the world is going. All of these other chains are going to die off because uh, they either tried to do some type of lending protocol directly on top of the consensus. That didn't work. We have Zest to pick up that weight. We have Bitflow, the DEX to pick up that weight. So you're seeing these building blocks, and then Zero Authority, we are the glue in this community. And it's even funny, like it's even becoming a meme. Like, what is anyone else doing besides trading, swapping?
Yeah, yeah.
And they're in Zero Authority. They're doing bounties, they're doing gigs, they're doing quest. Companies find it valuable to go put a quest, go put a bounty, and let people participate. You are already going to participate anyways, Nick. Why
Yeah.
not
Mm.
get some economic value out of that participation? And then the greatest thing that we have going, and we're working on the new generation of what this all will mean is, uh, one other thing I wanted to share here is you'll have the ability, and I'll just go to this profile, Stacks profile. You have the ability to see your BNS in one place, and then all the things that you've done across the ecosystem. And We're going to rebuild this whole on-chain score and make it completely dynamic. And then with this new AI platform, this is going to be the best place to build reputation. We're going to make it the best place for people that want to be here and that want to keep building together. And we have some other cool things coming, but I still believe in Bitcoin. I still believe in Web3. Something I'm kind of looking forward to is like this convergence of AI
Yeah.
on chain and then quantum, because when you put all of those together, some really cool, interesting things start to happen. And so I'm just kind of looking forward to the future of what all this means. And then we'll keep building. And I the way we build things, we want to make it valuable for people. So if you give us feedback, we listen to that feedback. if there's a better way to do something, we listen to that too.
So before I let you go, Zero, and yes, I love Zero 40 DAO, and I always enjoy having you on.
Thank you, Nick. I appreciate that, brother.
Where do you think we are a year from now?
A year from now. So this is the funny thing about these cycles too. When we're in the bull, Bitcoin 1 million, baby. When we're in the bear, Bitcoin is zero, baby. Where if you look at the typical playbook for the bear market, we're probably in the second half. So we're closer to the end than the beginning.
Yeah.
And so people are going to get freaked out. See, this is the thing too, Nick. If 50K is the bottom, and I mean, if 40K is the bottom, I would love that because I would love to just keep DCAing in all the way to the bottom.
Yeah.
But what that means, and this goes back to the whole what I look at now. I don't look at the tops. I look at the bottoms, because
Yeah.
if you do two charts, ask GPT to do two charts. Look at the bottom. That's your new monetary base.
Yeah.
So the first cycle is 600. The second 17 is 3,000. The 22 was 15,000. So if this one is 40,000, you'll never ever in your life be able to buy it under that price. And so that probably means for the top 10 chains, including stacks, there are going to be some assets that you can never buy. Like Ethereum is never going to go below 500,
No.
maybe even
No.
1,000. It probably will never. You will never see those prices ever again.
No.
They're building the layers of the financial rails on Ethereum.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, love it or hate it, but yeah, it's
Love it
still
or hate it. When
institutional adoption.
Ethereum went to
Yeah.
staking, there were a lot of pitchforks were out like, "This is crazy.
Yeah.
Ethereum it's going to go to zero,"
Yeah.
and it's fine. It's still operating, and they're building the rails of finance.
And
This new staking, they're like, Stacks is going to zero. This is crazy. I can't believe it. And then a year from now, they're gonna be like, oh man, that was a great decision,
yeah.
Stacks. I was there rooting for you guys all the way. Like, sure you were. I can bring up your tweets, bro.
You now have the reputation, right? Online reputation.
Yeah, I could bring up all your history.
And what about the world and for example AI? Like where do you see that in a year from now?
The world for what?
Well, however
An
you want to.
AI, kind of like AI perspective.
Well, let's separate the two. Like where how do you see the world, social, economic, macro picture a year from now, and AI a year from now?
So something I'm looking and I'm tracking against is called the Benner cycles, or the Bimmer cycles. I think it's
Yeah,
Charles Benner,
I
and
think I know what you mean. Yeah.
he went back to the 1800s,
Yeah.
and this, I don't know where he got this math and how he compiled this data with his cycles, but it's been fairly accurate for some big events in the world. And so the year 2026 is one of those big events that's supposed to go, here we go. That's it. So periods when to make money, when to lose money, the Benner cycle. This thing goes all the way back. It even goes back to the 1800s. So
Yeah.
what you're seeing there starts at the 1929 crash. Now, he doesn't accurately predict every single thing, but the cycles are so accurate. Like there's the 2007 is on there, and then even 2029 or 2019 is on there,
Yeah.
right? So it's kind of interesting. I've been thinking about this one a lot because I think it's important for everybody have a little bit of cash that you can save up, because you may have the opportunity. So if Bitcoin, this is probably one of those moments where crypto and TradFi, if TradFi goes down to historic lows, you may get some really good prices on crypto.
Yeah.
And so I'm watching this, Nick, but honestly, the way, this is a conversation I've been having too with some close friends, the way our financial systems are built now, there aren't a lot of humans making decisions anymore,
Yeah.
because it's either going into passive ETFs or like those quant trading firms are just like buying, selling, like the Citadels of the world, Jane Streets. They're just like buying. They know all the transaction flow. They take their fees off the top, and they before you hit when you hit that send button to send a trade in,
Yeah.
they get that data and they can make it in a millisecond.
Yep.
And so because what we're also seeing is people, and I think it kind of goes along the lines of like, where's the low cycle for Bitcoin? There's this guy, Mike Green, who he's a macro TradFi guy, but he says since 2008, since the Fed Reserve has been the backstop,
Mm-hmm.
you can also think of financial assets and kind of like that low, like those lows, because the way we've been conditioned to think about economic recessions has been like, watch CNBC, Jim
Yeah.
Cramer's on the news panicking, the markets are down 20, 30%. But technically, the way the stock market works, especially after 2008, they have all these breakers. So
Yeah.
if it goes down, like if it triggers like I can't remember, but if it's down 5%, there's a circuit breaker. If it goes down 1% after that, then the whole market stops for the day and you have to wait till tomorrow. We don't have that in crypto, right? The markets are still relatively
Yeah.
open, it's still manipulated, but we don't have circuit breakers. Like if there's a cascading, like when we saw 1010 last an awkward October last year, there's a cascading of downward momentum. It could keep going down, nothing can stop it. That's not the way it works in TradFi. So I say all this to say, these firms use bots. These
Yeah.
bots are trading. That's why you see these market fluctuations like crazy. On Friday, the Nasdaq was down 4%. On Monday, it might open up. Trump might put out a tweet, and it'll be up 5%.
Yeah.
That's not normal trading
No.
behavior from humans. And then because we're so conditioned from the past, from like 87, 2001, and then kind of like 2020, the crashes, we might be in this rolling economic recession that we don't even know we're
Yeah.
in a new regime right now, where on Friday the 4% down, that might be it, and then we're off to the races again. And
Yeah.
then as you're trying to just be like an average Joe investor, and you're thinking, you know, I'm waiting for this
Yeah.
20%
Yeah.
crash, and
Yeah.
I'm waiting for Bitcoin to go to 10,000 again or 20,000. And because we live in this news driven world where everyone has access to social media, you even see this on the Michigan sentiment, Nick, where when the prices go down, it'll go down 5%. It'll say this is the lowest sentiment reading since the 2008 financial crisis. That's crazy, Nick. So
Yeah.
what that says to me is like, people are just like seeing these headlines and they're reacting. They're like, well,
Yeah.
the world must be ending. This must be bad. COVID just happened. Is there another COVID? And so I think, I really truly believe this. We're in these accelerated cycles of up and down, like you said. But the traditional crashes that we've been conditioned to in 20 years ago, 30 years ago, that may not play out the way we're thinking it should play out. So that's, if it's new, if we're in a new regime like that and things, I don't even know how to really account for that, to be honest. I have been seeing a lot. My feed has been pulling up data on, I think it's called the Markov distribution or trading. Is it Markov? Let me see.
Yeah, I think it's Markov. Yeah. I think what you're describing, Mark Moskov,
Markov chain.
the melt off.
Markov chain, mathematical system that experiences transition from one state to. So I've been seeing that
Yeah.
pop up because I think that's a great way to explain, especially as we keep going. So you kind of said, what's the next year looking like?
Yeah.
It, I mean, you feel it, doesn't it feel like it's like these short bursts of news cycles and headline driven, and then the world is on fire, and then Monday rolls around and like the stock is back up and like, okay, whew, nothing to see here. Bitcoin going back up again.
Yeah. I think, from my perspective, I really like sort of the Weimar framework. It explains a lot, I think. And like I said, Mark Moss calls it the melt up. But I
Oh,
think,
Mark Moss, I love his content.
yeah, and I think because we're all in it together right now, like that's the unusual thing, right? It's on a planetary scale. In the past, it used to be like Germany or Japan or Argentina, and we're like individual countries. But in this case, it's the entire world, right? And
Right.
nobody wants it to crash, right? And nobody is waiting for a Great Depression on a planetary scale, right? That no
Right.
nobody wants that.
Right.
So and when you look at the stocks right now, those the S&P and the Dow, they just keep making new all-time highs, right? Like you say,
But
that
it's
they
not even just the US, like
yeah, it's
South
global.
Korea, uh,
Yeah.
UK, Germany, still making all-time highs.
Yeah, so but basically, I think what they're doing is they're already printing. Only I think the printing has changed, right? It used to be like a fat spigot, that
Mhm.
floated all the boats, and Wall Street was happy. And now it's like Treasury, a hose that's directed at certain sectors like national security, uh, importance sectors like AI, right? So
Oh
AI,
yeah, yeah,
yeah. So they
very
want,
true.
yeah, they're in a competition and they want to win, China and the US. So they can't afford to let these stocks fail. So you will hit like speed bumps along the way, and those are sort of those, when it wants to go down, and then like you say, there's a
Right,
circuit breaker
right.
because they're not gonna let it go down, and then we're back to the. So that I think that's what's happening. That's what we're seeing. And the only question is, how long can you keep that up forever, or is there like a limit to what you can do?
Well, the other mystery is that we have this growing debt in the
Yeah,
US, the 39 trillion that just keeps ticking up,
yeah,
right? At some point, we have to do something about that.
yeah,
And not just our debt, but debt around the globe it just keeps going up. So I don't even know. I don't even see like really tangible conversations around what will happen with a debt.
no,
And what does that even mean for the individual, like the individual American? What does that mean? The average individual European, what does that mean for you either? I have no idea. The only thing I see people talk about is that it means more inflation.
yeah,
It-
yeah,
And so,
and that
does
means
that just
higher asset
continue?
prices.
Does that just continue?
Well, I think that fits what we talked about earlier with like you'll own nothing and be happy. Like like you
Oh
say,
yeah, yeah.
some people are waiting for the stock market to correct, but what if it doesn't, right? So, and
Right,
then if you
right.
don't,
That's
yeah,
you know what? Now that you said the melt up, because Mark Moss has been talking about that. Darius Dell too is someone I follow and I look up to, and I love his story. Mark Moss too is the melt up is it's almost like its own thesis. It's not the stock crash that people are waiting for. It's the melt up that's happening that you don't even realize is happening, and with inflation going up as well. Because I know Darius Dell keeps talking about they're going to run it hot. So
yeah, they
not
need to.
only the U.S. but like Europeans and the Chinese, they're just going to keep inflating away and run it hot. And so now that you kind of brought that back to the forefront of my mind, I need to do more homework on that melt up and what that all means. But I think that is where we are right now,
Yeah.
and that's what I think we're both saying that there's not going to be this 20% crash that you're going to wake up to. It's the
And
crash is the melt up.
if it does happen, it will be really quick. It will be like tick, and I'm. Yeah,
That too, because the bots are all in control.
yeah, yeah. It will
They
be
are.
very rapid, right? Faster than you can. And I think also, when you look at social media like WhatsApp or whatever you're using, right? All of this information is collected and
Right. And let's be
analyzed.
honest,
And
that is all highly manipulated as
yeah,
well, and they're showing us what
yeah.
what they want us to see too. But that's just the reality.
Yeah.
Hey,
So, but
Nick,
yeah.
this was a great conversation, and man, we touched on so much today. I'm gonna have
Yes,
to run here, and I just appreciate the content that Bitcoin Live is always putting out and the support that you guys give over to Zero Authority. Because, like I said, we at the end of the day, we want to make this chain the best place that it could be. We want people to come here, build a reputation, and be able to win gigs, win bounties, win quests, create events, onboard people, and get rewarded. And so if we can do that and keep doing that, I think that would be a huge win.
yeah, and I should also get more engaged. But yeah, like I said, I'm super busy, and I'm also writing. But like you said, I can use the writing also on Zero Authority, right? So maybe I should leverage that skill.
You
Yeah,
should put it out there. You know what? We've been thinking about kind of revamping things too on the gig side, but there you should be able to put it out there and let people know you're open for a service that look, I can help you write content because you do phenomenal with marketing, promotion, written content, distributed content. And that's the whole reason builders need creators for
yeah,
the distribution. And that goes hand in hand. So yeah, I think that makes a ton of sense.
cool. And thank you for the
Cool.
compliments. And right back at you, right? Everybody follow Zero Authority DAO, and of course your own handle, which is XY0, right? BTC.
XY0BTC.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So yeah, and
And
of course
yeah,
also Hodl Stacks and Hedy and the rest of the team,
yes,
and
yes, and the rest of the Zero Authority
get
crew.
engaged.
We thank you guys and thank you the entire community on Base and Stacks and the SIP proposals. We're so excited to do more on the platform for the community.
Well, thank you for this conversation, and everybody watching. Have a great evening, morning, afternoon, wherever you are, and see you next time.
See you next time.